It's really good. Right? No? Okay. All right. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about Lectio Divina, or the divine reading. So I made visuals. I wonder if they're actually backwards. Are they really backwards, or they just look like they're backwards? I don't know. Hold on. Hey guys, my name's Becky Doc. Welcome. Today I want to do a really short, quick tutorial on something called Lectio Divina. And Lectio Divina means divine reading. So I'm not sure if you've heard of this before, but it is another form of prayer. So a lot of us think different things when we think of prayer. Some people think rote prayer, like the Our Father. Other people think spontaneous prayer. We often talk about prayer in groups, prayer by ourselves. Sometimes we just sit silently with the Lord, and that's a beautiful part of prayer too. So this particular one helps us practice looking at scripture and reading it in a way that helps us grow closer to God and to learn what the scripture is saying to us. Let's start with Lectio Divina, which is simply Latin for divine reading. So there's 4 main steps when you're doing Lectio Divina. The first is to read, the second is to meditate, the third is to pray, and the fourth is to contemplate. And some people throw in a fifth, which is to take some sort of action. So let's dig into each one of those. Reading is picking a Bible verse. Often it's good to pick one that is from the Gospels or from Psalms, something that's pretty easy to relate to. The second step is to meditate on it. So as you read it, the first time I've heard you just read it straight through and just listen to it. Get yourself acquainted with the words. Don't overthink it, just listen. The second step is to read it a second time. And then this time as you hear it, pick out a word or phrase that just strikes you. It just like hits you and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then meditate on that. Think about it. Some people actually suggest that you can mentally put yourself in the story. Pick out a character in there that you relate to and pretend that you're that person. Use your imagination to imagine yourself in the narrative. That's meditation. The third step is to pray. So then a lot of people say you read it a third time. And this time, as that word or phrase comes up inside of you, ask God to let you know, to clarify, well, what is it that you're trying to teach me with this particular word or phrase? And then finally, contemplation. I heard a priest describe it so well. It's when you just sit in silence with the Lord and you just let him speak to you. I've also heard that contemplation is a grace that sometimes people or saints get, where you just have this deep knowledge or this communion with God. If you've ever prayed and just completely lost track of time, like you're just there with Jesus or the Lord and you just feel his presence, and then you look up and it's an hour's gone by and you have no idea what happened. So that idea is the contemplation part, and that is a complete grace. So if you don't feel that way when you pray, it's completely okay. It's not necessarily what it's supposed to be every time, but to allow that silence at the end to just listen to his voice. Okay, so with that said, I picked out a verse for today, and I'll just walk through and give you my thoughts, and hopefully you can have your own thoughts. And I'm going to read from John chapter 5, verses 1 through 9. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem at the sheep gate a pool called in Hebrew Bethsaida, with 5 porticos. In these lay a large number of ill, blind, lame, and crippled. The one man was there who had been ill for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had been ill for a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be well?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. While I am on my way, someone else gets down there before me." Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up your mat and walk." Immediately the man became well, took up his mat, and walked.
Now I'm going to read it a second time, and this time I want you to listen for a word or a phrase that sticks out to you. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem at the sheep gate a pool called in Hebrew Bethsaida, with 5 porticos. In these lay a large number of ill, blind, lame, and crippled. One man was there who had been ill for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there, he knew that he had been ill for a long time. He said to him, "Do you want to be well?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. While I am on my way, someone else gets down there before me." Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up your mat and walk." Immediately the man became well, took up his mat, and walked. So here you would pick out a word or phrase that really struck your heart, and then you just take time to meditate on it and think about it. And then next you take that time to pray and ask God to open your heart and speak to you in that way. And then finally you just sit quietly with the Lord. You are free to press pause on the video and continue your prayer. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today and taking some time to learn a little bit about Lectio Divina. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that you're able to use it in the future and you find fruit in it. And if you have a favorite Bible passage that you think this would be great for, please go ahead and put it down in the comments and share it. I'm always interested to see what touches other people's hearts. So anyway, thank you for coming. I will see you again soon.